footing it. They're going to be side by side coming down, and it's going to be Caleb Hall taking it.
We edge closer to the playoffs, but we have to overcome one obstacle, and a very large one at that. It's Miles the Monster. For the past 50 years, we have been treated to some wonderful races, but also some terrifying accidents with the self-cleaning banking at this circuit. But the main question is, will Solstice add to the history books? It was Chris Wetz that came out victorious on the last mile-long oval in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but this circuit is a stark contrast to that. 24-degree banking in the corners, 9-degree on the straightaways, and the walls that are very close to the inside of the track almost gives you like a road course street circuit vibe here in Delaware. We wonder who will prevail against the monster after 125 laps here at the Dover International Raceway, as it's Dylan Body next to me in the commentary box, Dylan Livingood down in the production truck, as I am Josh Schmertz. We bring you live flag-to-flag coverage here on HVMP. Surprise! On a Tuesday. Main question is Mr. Dylan Body. Joey Bailey won in Denver. Will he carry the momentum into Dover?
I'm going to venture out here and say probably. Seems like when Joey Bailey gets hot, he stays hot. So I would look for that 51 to be up in the front for most of the night, if not all of it.
As we were talking throughout this entire season about how our defending champion, Michael Frisch, has had some terrible luck. Well, I can tell you he is 2/100ths off the pole-setting time by Chris Wetz. And the 58 car, hopefully, is going to regain his momentum. We're 9 weeks into the season. We'll be getting 9 weeks into the season, and no win yet for him.
Yeah, another week and another time we have to bring this up, and it's unfortunate. You know, we feel like he would have gotten it done by now. He's had some bad luck, some unfortunate strategy call, blah, 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 you know, the whole nine. But he's looked fast here in practice, looking fast here in happy hour. Looks like he's kind of figuring the track out and, you know, getting the groove and finding the line he wants to run. So I'm sure as long as the bad luck bug doesn't strike, he'll be completely fine, and he'll be running up front as well, probably giving Joey Bailey a run for this thing.
As speaking of Chris Wetz, who won in Milwaukee, like I said in my little opener, he is on pole position. Alongside him, Dylan Smith, and it's Frisch and Joey Bailey. Jeremy Stanley, Cole DeRozier on the third row of the grid. Brandon Lambert, Cody Erdman. Philip Kraus making a surprise run here at Solstice. And then Nick Baker in 10th. We're going to throw it down to Dylan Livingood in the production truck. He's got a few tidbits for us. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, you know, I was talking to Solstice officials here before this race. They said that back when they ran this about, season 17, 18, that it was absolutely perfect. They didn't have to make really any changes to be able to suit this format. So really, we're going to run everything almost like it was a few seasons ago here, if anyone was here for that race. And, you know, these cars are just a little bit looser. They adjust a wedge a little bit, tried to get a little bit more tire heat into the cars. So we should see here, as the run develops, as long as these guys doctor their tires well, some really good side-by-side racing and a lot of grip on track.
Has two stages coming in for this race. Lap 50 is the end of stage 1. Then we go to the finish at lap 125. I don't think we're going to have a graphic for the points coming into this week, but I will let you know that Joey Bailey is on top of the points by 32 over Jeremy Stanley. Lambert's 3 behind Stanley in third. Then it's Chris Wetz and Jake Poulin. Cosman's in 6th, Michael Frisch, Dylan Smith, Kyle Riley, Nick Baker. That's the top 10. But if I look at the point standings, we have no Poulin, no Cosman, no Steve Rada, no Mercurio, and I mentioned that last week. He's raced 3 times, 3 top 5s, 2 wins. He was really, I was thinking the 41 could have had a huge run for the championship, but that fell apart. No Poteet, no Micus. Big thing is Cosman, obviously he's not here, but he's on probation due to the incident in Denver last week. As we begin almost to grid. Here in Dover, everyone getting their final preparations, getting on pit lane. We know how difficult the pit lane is here in Delaware. As Dylan Smith, Nick Baker, Cole DeRozier, everyone starts to pit. Philip Kraus, my NASA teammate. Obviously, we are not in the Netherlands this week, as Solstice Racing takes a little bit priority over that, but you'll get 2 NASA races next week, one from Valkenswaard, and then I believe we go to Las Vegas. But that is something different for another day, as we race today in Delaware, and then we go out to Kansas, out west. Dylan, what do you think about that?
I don't know. Kansas is it's a tricky place. You know, turns are a little bit different. You got to really hold your line. I'm sure with these guys in the package that we're running, it'll provide some great racing. I'm thinking of it more as a if I were to have to go there and run a race perspective, not looking forward to it so much. Not one of my favorite places. But you know, these guys always put on a show. They always find a way to make it interesting. So I'm sure we'll have some great action.
As we line up on the back straightaway, getting ready to go green here in Dover. 10 cars getting ready to take part in round 9 of the championship, and we're getting closer to the playoffs. And let me tell you, this season is blown wide open, because it's not like last season when Frisch was running away. Bailey Stanley, Wetz Poulin, Dylan Smith, Columbia, they all won 1 race. Mercurio won 2 races. No one is really out and away from the rest of the field. It's a stark contrast from last season. What Frisch did was amazing, but no one has done it.
Yeah, it's been really up in the air this year. And, you know, the changing of the schedule, running different, you know, we're not running the same tracks every single year in the same order. Like some racing series out there, you know, we shake things up every season over here at Solstice, so you always get to see something different, have a little bit of a flex and change in the schedule. And I think this season it's really just, you know, had a lot of strategy and a lot of different people try different things and have it all play out differently in a bunch of different crazy ways. You know, we've seen cars in the billboards, we've seen guys running out of gas, you know, all kinds of stuff. And it's been a wild season and very eventful, but, you know, nobody's really been able to get any traction and momentum and hold on to it.
The interesting part of the top 5 is the defending champion is the only driver to not win a race. Pace cars off. Chris Wetz, Dylan Smith, front row, 125 laps here in Dover as we're racing on a Tuesday. Green flag. Into turn 1. Smith holds the outside. Bailey holds the outside. Frisch getting very close to the 71. Off of turn 2. Dylan Smith gets a run. Wetz gets loose on the bottom, and he's going to lose the lead, and he's going to lose nearly back to 6th.
Yeah,
His teammate Cody Erdman peeks on the outside. To lead the first lap, it's Dylan Smith, winner of the season opener at CRI Super Speedway.
You know, Dylan Smith promised us in his last interview that we would see the number 1 Toyota back out front, and there she is.
As Bailey, winner in Denver. Frisch, defending champion, 7 wins. Last season, none in 2019B. Jeremy Stanley won in Texas. Lambert got so close in Milwaukee, but got passed by the guy he's ahead of. And Philip Kraus, first stock car start in a while for the Wisconsin native. We'll see what he can do today. As I go to talk about him, and he gets loose in front of his team owner, and Erdman slides it in the 52. Note to self, don't talk about Kraus anymore.
As you were talking about that, Joey Bailey slowly creeping up here on the bumper. Dylan Smith looking like he's getting ready to try and make a move here.
And Smith holds the lead over Bailey. And now we begin the lap time game. Yes, we're only 5 laps in, but this is when these tires, this is a concrete surface, and we know concrete eats the tires. And Frisch was equal to the 100th to the 1000th of a second to Bailey's last lap. We know the 58's hungry for a win.
Yeah, being nice and patient though. All these guys, you know, nice clean start. Everybody kind of settled in, just kind of running their race for now, feeling out the track, making sure they're comfortable, not wearing out their stuff.
As side by side for a moment was Jeremy Stanley with Brandon Lambert. That's for 4th and 5th. As the top 3 are about a second clear of those guys. And then Wetz, Kraus, Baker, Erdman, and DeRozier in the 23. Gap is 3/10. They were all running 22.4s, but interestingly, they're still faster than everybody else. Is it possible, I'm going to throw it down to Mr. Livingood, is it possible that the tires, after this many laps, are already worn?
You know, when we talked pre-race about the tire heat, I think that, you know, I mean, it's always hard to gauge when you're running in, you know, draft like this to kind of gauge how that tire heat's going to be affected. Maybe with some of these adjustments that they made, maybe they went too far the other way. But again, as we see the tires start to wear, the 51 and the 58 comes on the inside here. Oh!
Smith slides it!
Smith. That's a strange, very strange sequence of events.
As our race leader from first to the back is now Joey Bailey. Cycles through to the race lead. Frisch, Lambert, Stanley, Wetz, the top 5.
You know, I'll be interested to see with the nose of the car on the inside wall. You know, if he hit that thing too hard, there might not be much salvageable, you know, left in that car.
I'll take a look on my monitor here, because he just got loose up off the corner, and he had it. I think he was going to save it. But obviously, when you're at 100, I paused it on my screen, you're 116 miles an hour. Frisch is 154, a car length away. There's really nothing you can do but run into the back of the one car.
Yeah, definitely nothing. You can
And
do there.
he nudged the wall. If I'm looking here, it was about 75 miles an hour. I mean, there's no damage that we can see, but
You know how delicate these radiators can be, and it didn't look like
Absolutely.
he had damage a few weeks ago, and then he ended up, was it blowing up or something later on down the run?
yes.
So it's definitely something you got to look out for. You know, it's got to be in the back of his mind, all the bad luck he's been having lately.
The pit stops are going to begin. Joey Bailey leads the field down. Transponder issues on the 46 of Lambert, but that's unfortunately a recurring theme for that team. As Frisch out of the pit lane, obviously gets by Smith. Will he beat Bailey out of the pit lane? Bailey is going to lead the race off of pit lane. It's going to be Frisch, Kraus, Stanley, Erdman top 5. I think Wetz got a penalty for speeding. He stopped in front of the 23 of DeRozier. But I think Frisch got a penalty.
Yeah,
Unless
I saw
he's
him
claiming the
slowing
wreck.
down immediately after coming out of the pits, he started slowing down.
As Dylan Smith, I don't think there was any damage, to be honest, because he is now sitting in 5th after spinning out.
Sometimes you get lucky.
As the field doubling up, I think we're going to be going green this time on lap 11 of 125 here in Dover, Delaware. Here's what I've noticed. This track is very one groove. Green flag. Restart zone's very early restart zone, and it I think, confused a lot of these guys. Bailey through 1 and 2, holds the lead over Philip Kraus. Then it's Jeremy Stanley, Cody Erdman, Dylan Smith.
Yeah, and Josh, that was a terrible restart. I'm surprised that they're not calling the caution back out for that, because really nobody was properly lined up coming to the start.
As DeRozier got a little loose off the corners, we're cycling through the field. Wetz had a little avoiding maneuver. Dylan Smith to the inside of Erdman. Now this is for 4th. That one. And DeRozier loops it in the 23 off of turn 2. I don't know if there's going to be a caution or not. We'll have to take a look and see. But he got way in the way. I think he had to let off the throttle. And I don't think there's going to be a caution for the 23. Side by side, Erdman with Smith there for a second. Erdman holds the 4th position. Ran his fastest lap this last lap. And Cody Erdman, can he get it done on the outside on Jeremy Stanley? Huge run from the 52, and he closes the maneuver. Fastest lap was reset again. the Area 52 teammates, and I haven't said that in a while. Philip Kraus and Cody Erdman. Inside of Erdman goes Dylan Smith.
Yeah, I'm just watching the 91 slowly just chipping away here, keeping consistent, trying to keep up with our leader here. Slowly but surely, looks like he's running him down.
Philip Kraus, and I'm a full disclosure, I'm not saying this because we're teammates, but this kid can jump into any car and be stupid fast, and I've never understood it. It's been this way for 6 years, that he can jump into any car and be fast.
Well, and Josh, we've watched him kind of grow up, I guess, the both of us, as into a really, really good sim racer. He's great in other disciplines that are out there. Really, you could put him in a rally car, you could put him in an oval car with different spec, and he just will drive the wheels off of it, and he's a total student of the game. So it's not surprising to me at all that we're seeing him up front this early and continuing to chip away at the 51.
It's Bailey, Kraus, these two. Honestly, the only person that's missing out of this equation is me. This feels like it's Barcelona all over again. Bailey, Kraus, Erdman, Dylan Smith. Can you take over? I'll jump in the car.
Well, I definitely will for you here in a few weeks. 'Cause I heard some rumors you're planning on running the Roval.
You weren't supposed to tell anyone,
Oh.
but yeah. So, Mr. Living Good, you raced in Denver, and I'm not going to race in Colorado and ruin anyone's playoff hopes, but hopefully we'll get the number 81 Best Buy Challenger out there. We got it rebranded with the new store up in Countryside, Illinois, so that should be a good one. Hopefully we can get a good run for those guys. And
best of
have
luck
better
to you
luck.
too. I mean,
Have better luck.
well, hopefully you have better luck than I did. I mean, you had some really great moments in your race, the last race that you ran, and you were up there, fighting some of the top dogs for a little bit. But it's hard to string the entire race together, isn't it?
I mean, I'm so used to, like, jabbing the brakes and downshifting to get the rear brakes to lock to be like a handbrake, because the rally cars we run, their handbrakes don't like to work. So, and you're well aware how we have to do that. So it's difficult to get used to, and especially because fourth wall brake, my VR wasn't working. So I'm like not being able to see where I'm going, and that's why I ended up turned on that first restart. But
well,
it
and
is what it
honestly,
is.
we're probably getting old, fat, and tired up here, and that's why we were tired up into the booth, mostly because I mean it just it seems like with the length of the races too, once you get towards the end, it's just it's tiring. We're used to those quick sprint races. You're in and out of the car in less than 5 minutes, but these guys, that's why we have 2-hour-long broadcasts sometimes, especially when it drags on like it did last week.
As Frisch got a little loose in turn one, he's going to lose some spots, put him back to 6th. As Kraus has matched Joey Bailey's lap times, Dylan Smith was faster than both of them. If we talk about students of the game, and I've said this before, we kind of watched Dylan Smith grow up as well.
Yeah, and I really remember at the beginning of my career, Dylan and I, we'd race really, really hard against each other. When we opened up NASA, we saw him come over there and kind of learn that whole thing and end up doing really well, getting a couple of race wins. And so it's really cool, as long as we've been in the game, to see kind of the driver progressions and stuff. We talked about Frisch, coming from somebody who was relatively inexperienced to somebody who's now dominating these Solstice races. It's just really cool to see.
As I look to my left, and a couple moments ago, I didn't see Mr. Dylan Body, and now he's back. Where'd you go? Did you bring me food?
We're having some sort of difficulty over here on my side with the tech. I don't know why they always have the electrical and technical issues on my side, but I've just been staring at the monitor because that's all I got going for me. I walked out of the room over here and called the one in the hallway.
And again, this is not my doing, I promise.
This really isn't his doing. Well, Mr. Body, yell at them, get your stuff fixed. Obviously, Mr. Livingood's in the production truck, but he'll hang out with me and make it so where I'm not blabbing all the time. We're halfway through stage 1. Pit stop strategy beginning. Frisch announces he has to pit. I don't know if this is scheduled or not, but Philip Kraus is dangerously close to Joey Bailey.
Yeah, and
Yeah, that's what I've been watching over here.
Yeah, if we're closing in on that part of the race, Josh, to throw a little bit of analysis at you, I really think this 91's going to try to just chip away as much as he can on his in-lap here, and then we might see him throw a little bit of strategy here. Oh, he's going to give the
As
bumper!
Kraus goes to the inside. Can he take the spot over Joey Bailey, points leader? 91 does not care about points. He only wants to get the trophy. And off the final corner, will he take the lead on lap 28? No.
Oh, but he's got good positioning here, and another advantage he might have is that if Joey Bailey needs to pit, and he's affecting Joey's ability to enact any kind of strategy that he might have had up his sleeve.
Off the corner, Bailey holds the lead. I don't think Frisch would be a factor in this strategy. I would imagine if he was a little closer, he would be knowing that these two are battling. Kraus up the hill, nearly hits him. Dylan Smith gets very close and sneaks to the inside to take the second spot. Very loose into the corner goes Dylan Smith. They're both into the wall in turns 1 and 2. So
Wow,
the two
that
drivers
guy's
that
super
battled
intense.
in Barcelona, and Dylan Smith on the inside.
Here comes Jeremy
goes to the
Stanley
inside.
to sweep up the leftovers as he continues to power forward.
As Dylan Smith, I think, tried to pit, but he couldn't make it to the pit lane. As he does announce that he's going to pit. Erdman pits in the 52. He's the first stall on pit lane, and Bailey loves this because he just went from nearly losing the lead to getting a huge advantage.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that it might be a little early, but
And Bailey
I
pits and from
Oh, no!
Stanley. Stanley slides it, and Bailey misses pit lane.
Oh
And
no!
Stanley comes out in front of DeRozier, who's into Dylan Smith. And this, I think, is going to be a caution on lap 28. And what
Oh my goodness!
if there's an accordion effect that we could have ever called? That was it.
Yeah, that was just wow.
As
I was
Bailey
just getting ready to
pitted,
say,
obviously, director's going to pick it up, but from my monitor, Bailey pitted, locked it up on the asphalt, so he missed the pit lane. And at that point, that just kind of cements it because Stanley's all over the place, gets hit by DeRozier.
oh man.
So the person that's going to be benefited from this, I would say, is Erdman and Frisch, but they are off the lead lap. Frisch is 2 laps down. Erdman is 1 lap down.
I think Chris Wetz is in the catbird seat right now. You know, the car in front of him, his teammate might have a little bit of damage from getting into the wall up there. You know, it might take him a little bit longer getting off pit road. The 71 probably doesn't have so many issues. Going to come right back out of the pits and be in the lead and back in control of this thing.
As if you would call last week's race lackluster, I certainly wouldn't, but there might be people that would. The first 33 laps here in Dover have certainly repaid that. Kraus down pit lane, Wetz, Dylan Smith, Bailey, Baker, Lambert. Everyone pits except for Frisch. I don't know if Frisch is going to be in the lead or because he's off the lead lap or what's going to happen, but at 58.
Well, he stayed out, I believe, because he's now being scored after the crossing the line as 1 lap down, unless he was just, I don't know. Yeah, he's out. Maybe he can get a wave around and be only 1 lap down, but I feel like he's going to be definitely trapped off the lead lap here.
Unless they're letting him go by. At this point, yeah, he's got to slow down, so he's...
This is the strangest sequence of events these last few laps. You know, I hate to say it, but I think we're back in the Twilight Zone.
Why is it that 4 consecutive weeks in a row that this happens? Because, yeah, he's got to
You
stop.
know, it's just...
I think they only let him take 1 lap back.
Yeah,
he's gotta
I
let the
think
whole
he's gonna
field bite.
be. Yeah, I think he's gonna be 1 lap down to start. Yeah. He got the 2 laps down was the wave around, so now he's back in lucky dog position.
Cody Erdman gets a black flag penalty on pit lane, so the 52 not having a good time. Dylan Smith is still second. Wetz, I think Dylan Smith beat him off pit lane, judging by the fact that he's ahead of him, getting ready for the restart. Bailey, Kraus, Baker, Lambert, Erdman, Stanley. As we get ready to go green here in Dover, Delaware. Field's going to bunch back up, and this is going to be a very early restart zone. This field, very messy as we go back green on lap 34.
You know, that's the second restart in a row these guys haven't been able to get organized. You'd think Solstice officials would be trying to get this under control by now.
The only thing that I'm thinking of is the restart zone is so much farther back than any other track that Solstice runs. Because if I remember correctly, they customize their own restart zone. But this track does not have a Solstice designated restart zone. That restart zone is years old, so it's a very, very small zone to go in.
Yeah, that's true too. That could definitely be part of the issue that it's having. But I mean, it also might be a good thing that they're not so bunched up because they're coming right off of the banking there where they take the green, and you don't want to spin the tires, come down and take the whole field out.
Well, and exactly, Dylan. I think there's two different things that are at work here, and I know it came over the race control scanner last week when I was in the car to please try to bunch up, and it really upset a few drivers in the field. I know Chad Mikos was upset about it. I think Cosman was also upset about it. There was a lot of guys who were really trying to capitalize on those restarts because track position's key in this series. And the other thing I think is, in fact, the tire spin coming off the corners, and that's why they might be just letting each other off easy a little bit.
As Bailey to the inside of Dylan Smith through turns 1 and 2. Couldn't get the job done at the start-finish line last lap. Will he get it done down the back straightaway? No, he won't, but Dylan Smith runs it a little bit higher, trying to get the momentum off the corner. Can Bailey hold it? Smith's going to do the undercut. Huge momentum for the one, but he doesn't do it. Bailey to the lead.
Looks like he doesn't want to wear his stuff out here. There's not much time left in the stage. I'd rather finish second than to, maybe burn my stuff up and get caught shuffled back to the back and out of a good position here, heading into this next part of the race.
As Wetz gets close, so does Kraus, so does Erdman. So the Area 52 boys, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, Toyota's showing out strong, and a lot of representation in this smaller field that we have this off-day race here at Dover. You know, something we probably haven't talked enough about in the broadcast yet. You know, we had this this makeup date. It's kind of another last-minute thing, like the Darlington and Denver switch-up, and some of the guys just couldn't make it, had other things, prior commitments, you know, how it goes. But glad to see we got the guys we got. You know, a lot of our regulars are out here putting on a show for us, and yeah, interesting to see so much Toyota in the field. Normally, it feels like they're very underrepresented.
The top 6, all NASA drivers as well, so they'll have to do an unusual.
Well, yeah, you guys aren't racing. They needed somewhere to go.
Exactly. They we're gonna have a little bit of racing for us as well. We're gonna go to the Netherlands, then Las Vegas. So that should be a good couple of races. You'll catch those next Thursday on the Automotive Sports Network. As this Thursday we go to Kansas here on HVMP, and then next Thursday after the NASA races, like we mentioned, I'm going to be in that race car. So, Mr. Living Good, got to get your script reading on point there. As Bailey, off of turn 2, holds the lead over Smith, Wetz, Kraus, and Erdman. That's the top 5. They are all 22.5 second laps. Literally every single one. Kraus and Wetz are identical on lap times. Let's take a look and see when it refreshes. Okay, well, they're not identical anymore. Bailey was the slowest out of the top 5 at a .7.
Dylan Smith was all over his back bumper through 3 and 4, but wasn't able to get to the inside and keep the run going down the straightaway. But he's really getting Joey Bailey right about here. He starts to close in and just really get all over the back end.
As Wetz peeks to the outside, couldn't make anything happen. If there's one oval track, one shorter oval track that I like, Lambert hit the wall in the back of the shot. If there's one smaller oval track that I like, it's Dover, because like I said in the opening, it's like a street circuit. The walls are right there. You have nowhere to go.
Oh yeah, it's really intense. It's like the cattle chutes when you're in a highway construction zone when you go down the back of the front straightaway here at Dover.
Bailey holds the lead. 5 laps to go in stage 1. These points are very
Dylan
crucial.
Smith really giving it a run on the outside here.
Smith peeks to the outside. Winner in CRI Super Speedway. Bailey won in Denver. Wetz won in Milwaukee. Erdman is winless this season. So is Lambert. Bailey slides it off the corner.
Yeah, a little bit of a bobble there coming off at 4. It's going to allow the 1 to have a little bit of an edge and the 71 to get to the outside of the 51.
Side by side. 4 to go in stage 1. Wetz gets by Bailey, and now will he set his sights on car number 1? As Bailey,
Philip Kraus with a big run in the middle of the corner.
onboard Philip Kraus in the 91 on the outside of Bailey into turn number 1. 3 to go in stage 1. Bailey peeks up the hill in the 51. Kraus takes to the inside. Side by side for third. Dylan Smith holds the lead. Car length over Wets. Bailey way outside in the 51. 2 to go. 2 miles left in stage 1 here in Delaware. And obviously we don't wish it on anybody, but we hope that Joey Bailey does not blow a tire like he did last week. But maybe it's a good omen if he does, because he'll win the race, because he did that last week. Smith got really wide in turns 1 and 2, but he got back down on the groove through 3 and 4. We're coming to the white flag of stage 1, gentlemen. Dylan Smith leads Chris Wetz, and do you think Wetz will make a move to get this point?
Yeah, I think he's going to go for it right about now.
As Wetz peeks to the inside. Smith on the outside.
I'm sorry, Josh. You set me up perfectly for it.
That was like a catapult, really. Dylan Smith through 3 and 4. I hate you, Dylan, living good off mic. Smith wins stage 1 over Wetz, Kraus, Bailey, and Erdman, top 5.
Yeah, it seemed like Wetz went for it, but didn't want to be too aggressive. He knows he's got a good car. He's still clean. He's not all beat up. It's it's going to be a wise decision to keep that thing around for the next 75 laps. And it seemed like the 51 it was funny that you had brought up the tire blowing last time, but because I feel like the 51 was just trying to kind of swing it wide and get out of those guys' way. He didn't really want to be too racy there, I don't think.
Hi, Dylan. How was your first stage?
Oh, it's fantastic.
We were wondering, it was what, like lap 5, and then you ended up spinning.
Lap 9, actually.
And then whatever the hell happened on the pit stop rotation. Can you take us through that first little bit there?
It's very, very high speed race. It's about all I got. I don't know what's going on, and I don't have speed.
Either Dylan, you got anything for Dylan?
Yeah. Hi, namesake. You promised us last time we talked to you after some bad luck that you'd put that Toyota back out front, and I just wanted to say, way to keep your word, man. Good luck. Go out there and get him in the next 75 laps.
Oh, I will. Hope you guys like the high side action.
Yeah, and actually, Dylan Cubed would like to ask about that highline. How much of a tool is that highline for you to be able to use, to be able to run that and kind of carry some momentum, and then also maybe use the draft a little bit and put some air on that guy behind you?
So I learned in practice, especially with some older tires, the bottom's already really hard to run. So if the guy misses the bottom, you can run the top and have so much more momentum. Especially with older tires too, it worked out so much better, especially at the end of that run. I noticed I was starting to gap Wetz in 1 and 2 when I did that, but he was killing me in 3 and 4.
Well, we don't want you to give away too much strategy there, but good luck.
They all know it.
As I think we're doubling up and getting ready to go back green here in Dover, Delaware. Dylan Smith, Philip Kraus, second row. Cody Erdman, Joey Bailey, third row. Lambert, Stanley, Wetz, DeRozier, Frisch, and Nick Baker. Beginning stage 2, green flag. Kraus gets a terrible restart in the 91. Bailey peeks on the outside in the 51. Can't make it 3 wide. Into turn 1. Will Erdman make the spot? No, he won't. Kraus on the outside.
Dylan Smith sideways. Great save.
The field, and Philip Kraus to the lead. Joey Bailey to the inside on the 91. In the 51 going into turn 3. Off of turn number 4, Joey Bailey takes the lead on a weird restart in Dover. Dylan Smith to third. The second time that one car has gotten a little squirrely in the corner. Side by side, Wetz and Stanley. Frisch peaking there in the 58. Defending champion once again, not having a great run. Unless timing and scoring is messed up, I think it is. He has scored as the race leader. That has to be wrong. We'll have to wait for a couple laps for it to even out. As leading on the road is Joey Bailey ahead of Philip Kraus, Dylan Smith, Lambert, Erdman, the top 5. Like I mentioned, timing and scoring is all weirded up because Michael Frisch is scored as the race leader. So if any of our timing is incorrect, blame Solstice. Twilight Zone. That's just it.
Twilight Zone. That's really all you can say about it. It's been the recurring theme here for a month now.
As Bailey off the corner holds the lead. He was equal on lap time with Kraus. Let's take a look. 281.372. So about a tenth faster. Timing and scoring still broken. I'm going to mention that every lap until Solstice decides to fix it. According to this, I think they did fix it though, because the 60, the 9, they're all still on the lead lap. So I do think that they fixed it. Let's take a look when Bailey crosses the line. As they did fix it. Bailey back to the race lead properly according to timing and scoring. There were no transponder issues, I don't think, on the 58. So it was a matter of Solstice scoring him 1 lap ahead after that little schmozzle involving the pit stop rotation.
Hey, I just wanted to take a moment here, guys, to give a shout out to Dirty Bug Gaming. They're co-hosting our stream, so shout out to any of their followers that may be seeing this for the first time. Glad to have you all with us here on HVMP, live from Dover with the Solstice Proline Cup Series.
As Bailey holds the lead ahead of Kraus, it was 2.5 tenths that last lap. Now it's made to 3 tenths, as Kraus was half a tenth, equal, literally half a tenth, because it was 22.405, 465 for Kraus, 496 for Dylan Smith. So they're all running basically the same lap. But apparently, you can't push too hard because you'll end up spinning.
Yeah, and there's something I wanted to point out. Sorry to interrupt you there, Dylan, but that was the first restart where those guys really got bunched up, and it was really intense and almost kind of borderline there. So maybe spreading them out was a good idea.
As onboard Dylan Smith, you can take a look. You can take a look and see how difficult this track is and how really claustrophobic it is with the walls very close. 22.604 was that last lap.
And right here, as you come onto this backstretch, you can see how close they are. It's scary. It's almost like being on a horse track, and there's room there to go 3 wide. It's just, it doesn't feel like there is.
Did you make that comment because there's a horse track in the infield?
Yeah, I live in Kentucky now, referencing the horse racing history in my area, and also, Dover used to, have the horse racing, Dover Downs, so gotta bring that up when we can as part of our historical analysis.
As side-by-side Erdman with Wets, this is for the 6th position, as they are battling very close together. Kraus has eaten the gap away. It is a 1/10 of a second exactly between him and Joey Bailey. And every time that Kraus gets close to the lead, something catastrophic happens. But he goes to the inside now on lap 64 of 125, and the man from Wisconsin trying to take the lead.
Yeah, and these guys side by side, if they're side by side for too long, that one car is going to close the gap and be right back up here in the mix again. That seems to be the trend. When anybody gets to the leader and tries to make a move, everybody behind is right on top of them.
Well, and Dylan, this looks like a little bit of deja vu here.
Yeah,
Off a 2.
We've seen this before tonight.
Kraus holds the lead now. He takes the lead over Joey Bailey, and Philip Kraus will lead lap 65 here in Dover.
And just like that, Dylan Smith is right there, close to the back corner on Joey Bailey, trying to get to the inside.
I think Bailey's car is eating his tires away because he was 2 tenths slower than Dylan and Phil that last lap.
Yeah, I don't know what those guys are doing. I don't know if maybe it's the Dodge body itself has some sort of play in it, but I'd imagine these cars are all relatively close to the same. But it seems like he really is wearing out 5 or 6 laps earlier than everybody else is.
Well, and Dylan, with these Toyotas, he's in the middle of a Toyota sandwich, which the Toyotas seem to be a little bit of a better tire saver here with this package that we brought to this racetrack than that Dodge is. I mean, really, that seems to be where Bailey's lacking the most, is with tire saving.
Yeah, and maybe that's a product of not really having anybody else in the series that runs that. You don't really have any info to go to, see any kind of, bouncing ideas off one another on, what's working, what's not. One of the things you run by, one of the risks you run being in one of the lower end manufacturers, not that Dodge is lower end, but, one of the smaller represented teams.
As Philip Kraus now stretching his lead. Side by side of the LMT teammates, Lambert and Dylan Smith. Off the corner, Dylan Smith is going to drop 2 positions from Frisch and Lambert, and here comes Frisch in the 58.
I'm starting to wonder if Michael Frisch and Brandon Lambert have a deal to run together all night, because during one of those early cautions, coming off the pit road, we saw the outside row directly behind Brandon Lambert. And I'm wondering if Granger has a deal since they're sponsoring both of those cars for extra TV time.
As Frisch we'll take a look. 23-3, 23-3, 23-2. Frisch was faster than those guys. The lap times have started to drop away because if we take a look at a couple laps ago, we'll have to look and see. I think the lap times are slowly diminishing as the fastest laps were 22-2, so they've dropped a second off this pace. But Philip Kraus pulling away from Joey Bailey. You know, my all-time F1 driver, Sebastian Vettel. Well, let's not talk about the Italian Grand Prix, but you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of what Vettel is so good at doing, is pulling the gap away once he takes the lead.
Well, and Josh, I mean, he really learned this setup quick, and just by watching him go into the corners and stuff, it seems like he's not sliding the car as much. He's doctoring the tires just a little bit better than the rest of the field is, and he's kind of learning where to run and where not to run. I mean, you saw him all over the back bumper, the 51 who's getting passed now by the 71 at Chris Wetz, but I really think he learned a lot of things about the lines and the do's and don'ts here just by following him for a few laps.
The ebb and flow of this race is crazy because Bailey's gone from first to fifth in about 3 laps, and Michael Frisch is faster than Philip Kraus by 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, this is so back and forth, you know, and everybody's still in this. Not a lot of people are really out of contention, even with a little bit of damage. Everybody that's here is pretty much in the mix, and everybody's strong at different points in the run, and you really see it as a lot of people come and go through the field.
If we can take a look at the average lap speed on my timing screen, 132 miles an hour is the race speed. We are at 8:57 Central Time. We went live at 8:15, and we have 50 laps to go. At this pace, we'll be gone in 15 minutes.
Yeah, and it's just a little bit bigger
been...
over here, Josh. I mean, really, it eats tires the same. It's the same kind of surface. And I think that's why we're starting to see kind of that ebb and flow as Brandon Lambert gets into the wall, slows down a whole bunch. But I think that's one of the things that I learned the most about last week was that tire saving is key. And I hate
to interrupt you really quick. I hate to interrupt you. Bailey's on pit lane, and so is Erdman. Here begins the strategy, gentlemen. Dylan Smith on pit lane.
Oh, and the 51 had to back it up in his pit box.
Are we going one more stop, you think, after this? I don't think they can make it the full another 48 laps, can they?
No, there's going to be no way that they can make another 48 laps. There is going to be one more pit stop.
So he's just trying to get ahead on sequence. Yep, everybody, now that one's in, they're going to start to follow.
We'll have to watch and see if the 58...
We've seen Frisch or Bailey have bad luck with the pit strategy or the pit cycles lately, and you know, having to back up in your pit stall seems like, you know, another occurrence of that happening.
What had happened in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil, and it's happened pretty much all season except for Denver. Wetz pits in the 71. Go to Stanley in the 60. Where is Bailey? Bailey's going to go by Wetz, but we'll have to pay attention to Frisch because Wetz pits. Bailey was off the lead lap. Where's Kraus? Kraus pits with his teammate. Actually, no, I stand corrected. Kraus is going to exit the pit lane. Where is Frisch?
He's coming to pit lane right now. Nice, smooth, slow entry. Nobody near him. No worries. Kind of the best way you can enter pit road here at Dover with that awkward positioning of the entrance.
Kraus exits pit lane. Wetz is in his pit box as Frisch comes down pit lane. We'll have to focus on the 91 of Kraus to see if he can hold the lead. As dropping the jack is the 71 crew. He is still on the lead lap, I believe, but we'll have to wait and see. Where's the 91? He's going to soar right by him, I think. Off of turn 2. Kraus is going to get by the 71. Where's Frisch? Frisch is off of the pit lane.
Crossing the finish line now.
Will Frisch be able to hold this gap, or will Kraus hold the lead? Frisch exits pit lane, but he's not going to be up to speed, and he goes right on by, and Kraus holds the lead on the pit stop rotation.
Yeah, you know, definitely the bobble on pit road didn't help Joey Bailey at all.
As Lambert is the only car on the lead lap because he has not pitted yet. But I think he's going to be pitting now. He's not pitting now, unless he's doing something, obviously a different strategy. He's off of turn 4. Kraus is a lap and a half behind the 46.
This is really interesting. You know, wonder what's going through Mr. Lambert's mind over here that he's staying out so long on the track.
Can Lambert do the overcut? That's the big question.
I feel like that might. Here he comes now.
Can he do the overcut? He's got a lap and a half. He ruined pit entry.
Nearly hits the barrels coming in on the end of the pit wall there. That's definitely a big no on Ken Lambert do the overcut there. Unfortunate to see. It was going to be I was really looking forward to getting to see that. We haven't had that specific scenario yet with the pit cycle.
So Kraus, they're all going to get back on the lead lap. So if we look at timing and scoring, it says 36 seconds. Lambert is going to have to ace this pit stop, but Kraus is already halfway down the back straightaway. I don't think
there's absolutely no way. No way.
Kraus off of 4. A race leader. Oh, I think there was a slim hope, and then Lambert overdrove the pit entry. Because Kraus takes the lead again.
It was gonna be close until Lambert had the issue getting onto pit road, definitely.
Yeah, and I must say, one of the things that I got taken to school on was how to get down on pit road. Let me tell you, last week was insane with these guys just being on top of it. I got passed coming, well, I don't know if it was coming into pit road or just after we came into pit road, by like 4 different people, and it was just like rush hour traffic.
That's a whole different ballgame than what you guys are used to over there in the whole rallycross environment. You know, like you said, short sprint races, you know, back to the pit, fix the car, come back out and do it again.
Oh, totally. The only pit stop we know is Croft.
Kraus leads Wetz, leads Bailey. Frisch got by Dylan Smith. As 6th place is Erdman, 7th Stanley, 8th Lambert, 9th Baker, 10th is DeRozier. If you're just joining us here on High Voltage Media Productions, surprise, we're racing on a Tuesday in NASA Rallycross. Off this week. We will see you in a week's time on the Automotive Sports Network. But anyways, due to a scheduling issue, I believe it was during the Gander Outdoors Truck Series for the NASCAR boys at Eldora, they skipped that week, so we had to make up that week. And here we are on Tuesday. We race on Thursday at Kansas, so these guys have to pack everything up and go out west. But Philip Kraus, who has not raced a stock car in quite some time, at least I would hope that I know because he's my NASA teammate, is leading the race for Area 52.
You know, also exciting to see Area 52 bring out a third fast Toyota. You know, that team continues to expand, and they're getting stronger as this season goes by.
As hopefully, though, we don't have a tire failure and Wetz get taken out again. Remember, Lucas Oil at Indianapolis.
I try to forget, but you keep bringing it up.
Twilight Zone. 22.715, 22.790 for Bailey. Frisch is faster than both of them, 0.3 of a second, but he's sitting in 4th. That's not going to help him.
Yeah, 2.6 seconds back on the last time around. You know, he's got a lot of ground to make up.
Into turn 1 once again. Lap 90 of 125 for Philip Kraus. Into the inside. Frisch goes on his championship rival from last season, Joey Bailey. And we talk about it every week. And I don't do it to be annoying, but I talk about it because defending champion, no race wins. It's very odd. And I told you at the beginning or at the end of last season, I think I told him winning a championship is something, but defending it is much harder.
Yeah, I remember that interview specifically. And, you know, seeing him struggle so far this season, not really getting it done, is very reminiscent of kind of Jimmy Johnson, you know, missing the playoffs for the first time in NASCAR. It's a strange occurrence. It's not something you're used to seeing, but, you know, sometimes that's how it goes in racing.
As lap 92 here at Dover. As Lambert got that pit strategy wrong, I hate to say it that way, but he is about to be lapped by Philip Kraus.
You don't have to be rude about it, Josh. He knows he messed up.
As Lambert getting very close to being lapped.
Yeah, and Josh, we could probably say that we're not politically correct on this broadcast here, so I mean, we call the coverage how it is, and that's one of the things our viewers love about it, is we are non-biased to anyone.
As Kraus 22.9, Wetz 22.8, Frisch 22.8, the pace is already starting to drop off, and they just pitted.
Yeah,
they're gonna have
we,
to pit again.
Oh yeah, definitely gonna have to pit again. And as we've said, Dover's it's an abrasive concrete surface. It's not pleasant on tires. The banking and the load you have to take into the corners, and how much pressure's on them right front. You're wearing stuff out really quickly here. But it is crazy how fast it's going tonight.
As average race time is still 134 miles an hour. According to the race session, we've been going for 44 minutes and 10 seconds, and we're already coming to 30 to go.
Yeah, another great show put on by these guys. Some people find all these long green flag runs really boring, but up here in the booth, we love us some pitch strategy, and it's looking like we're going to get another thriller here tonight.
The gap is 1 second, as the gap has evened out lap time wise between Kraus and Wetz. 23.061 for Kraus, 23.014 for Wetz. It resets 0.26 to a 0.49. There was nothing in it, and Frisch was a tenth slower than both of them.
Well, and Josh, that's one of the things that we've come to learn by knowing Philip Kraus and Chris Wetz for so long, is these guys are masters of the run. They know how to craft from the beginning to the end. Save
Pitting
tires,
again.
save fuel.
Pitting again. Jeremy Stanley.
That's very early. Those...
Are they going to be clutching?
I feel like they have to almost be, if nothing else, just to help maintain some slow speed in the corners to save the tires. We're looking at almost a 30-lap run right now. That's a long time, especially after 10 laps. These tires seem to be shot.
Out of pit lane. Dylan Smith. Jack is dropped. Jeremy Stanley pits as well in the 60. So these are the first pins to the grenades that are being thrown in the pit strategy. Because these guys have nothing to lose.
And Josh, if we do go green to the end, it's I don't think this strategy is going to work out. I think this is just a little bit too early to be able to pit. I would have kind of broken it more up in half, but these guys are, I think, trying to do the undercut right here, right now, and hope for that late race caution.
I think it's really early. Kraus is going to pit in the 91. So he's the first of the first of the leaders to respond, and now he has to hope he doesn't get run over by his teammate Chris Wetz. Frisch is going to pit as well. Entries are much cleaner this time. Frisch is going to slide it, but he gets down to pit road speed, and now we'll have to pay attention to both the 71 and the 51. Bailey is going to pit as well. DeRozier is going to pit as well. That first pin was thrown, the first grenade was thrown by Smith and Stanley, and
everybody's going to follow suit.
That's what's doing this, because you can't not do it. Again, any pit strategy, we think of the Hungarian Grand Prix, Verstappen and Hamilton. We think of the Belgian Grand Prix, Leclerc and Hamilton. If you don't pit, you're going to be like Verstappen. You're going to get swallowed up. Let's take a look and see. Pitting Bailey. Wetz out of the pit lane is Frisch and Kraus.
Dylan Smith might be okay here if he can put together a nice solid run. He's got a sizable gap.
Dylan Smith. He's off the lead lap because Wetz is in the pit lane. So this is going to be interesting. Erdman leaves the pit lane as well. Left sides are up on the 51. Left sides are down on the 51. So is Wetz. Where's Dylan Smith?
Coming off of 4.
I think Lambert's on the clutch. I don't think he's pitting. I don't think the 46 is going to pit.
Maybe that was the strategy. Maybe he did the ultimate undercut instead of the overcut. Or maybe when he messed up, he changed his strategy.
You know what? I really do like what the 46 is doing right now, because he is going to have to overcome some adversity with his mistake that he had in that previous pit stop. But if this thing does go green at the end, he's going to have the freshest tires. He's going to be able to just blast up through this field. So I would take fresh tires at the end, because with the way that this race is going, it's been really, really clean, guys.
Kraus holds Wetz, Frisch, Dylan Smith. So he holds the pit stop rotation. Baker stays out of the way, even though technically Baker is the one that should be getting blue flags against the 91. I say that and I realize this is oval racing. My mistake. Lambert leads off of turn 2. He is a lap ahead of Philip Kraus. That's 23 seconds. I don't think he's gonna pit.
And guys, if the caution came out right now, that would put everyone a lap down. Of course, we'd have a lucky dog, but you never know.
Kraus is back on the lead lap.
Erdman just got back on the lead lap. Oh, yeah, no, not Herman. Sorry, yeah, Kraus.
Kraus is back in the lead lap, and now Kraus has 20 laps. In a perfect world, if Lambert makes it to the end, Kraus has 20 laps to make 23 seconds up. If we take a look at the lap times this time by 22.5, 23.9. Do the math.
And guys, let's have silences going into turn 3 here. You'll be able to hear it. The 46 is indeed clutching. You can definitely tell. Let's listen.
Yeah, I can definitely.
Till the middle of the corner.
Yep,
So that's
like
huge.
He's not braking. He's just rolling out of the throttle, pushing the clutch in, and then getting back into the throttle about halfway through.
This is the only hope that Lambert has to break the stranglehold that Philip Kraus has on this race. Interestingly, Kraus is not the fastest man on the circuit. He is a 10th slower than Dylan Smith's fastest lap. Again, oval racing, that doesn't really matter. Bailey is going to pass him as well. Baker pits in the 9th, so the only car that is not pitted is Lambert. He's committed to this strategy. Obviously, you have to be committed to this strategy. He's got 15 laps, and Philip Kraus is over a second of a lap faster, 22.5. Let's see, Lambert, 23.9, or 23.8, sorry, basically 23.9, second and a half.
And Josh, he's doing a really good job managing lap times, too. I tried pulling this strategy. I let you know when I was in the car. I pulled out my phone, and I said, I'm clutching. But, I mean, this is really hard, but he's doing it in the best way possible, which is start as early as you can, commit to a plan like that, and execute. And we'll see if he gets it done.
And, you know, it's going to be really close to the lap times he's running. It's going to come right down to the wire, and, you know, maybe if he saves enough now, he can have a few laps towards the end where he can get on it and not really have to stress about it and just really send it at the end.
22.6, last lap for Lambert, 24.5, 2 seconds beginning to fall every lap.
Yeah, Lambert's going to have to pick up the pace just a hair than that. You know, the 1.3, 1.4 was going to be really close, but he's giving up too much now.
But Josh, at this point, I mean, if you do the math, we only have 15 to go. This may work. Call me crazy, but this may work.
Yeah, it was marginal. It was marginal when Kraus was a second faster. If Lambert keeps pushing these laps 24/7, he might be over-conserving, so he has some left in reserve to fight Kraus. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm
22.6.
thinking, because he's giving up a lot of time now. You know, he's giving up 1.8 to 2 seconds a lap. I feel like he's definitely trying to make sure that he knows that the 91's going to get there. He wants to make sure that he has enough to give him a fight for it.
Yeah, but I'll argue with this with you guys. I mean, if you look at the fall off that you have 10 laps into the run, we're going to come up on that
true.
10
I'm
laps
not
after the pit
factoring
stop really
Yeah,
quick.
I'm
And if
not
he
factoring
continues to hold these lap times, that's going to be, I mean, that's going to be fantastic for Lambert. That's going to play right into his hands. So,
Yeah, we're going to get another great finish here tonight is all I know. And I'm excited to see how this one plays out.
24.625, 11 laps to go for Brandon Lambert, the former champion of Solstice Proline, in the 46. Kraus crosses the line, 22.8. The gap is now less than 10 seconds. It's 9 seconds, and he was nearly a second and a half, I think maybe 2, 22.8, 20, yeah, 1.8 seconds faster. 24.808. At the line, 22.9. The gap is 7 seconds.
Yeah, he's going to have to start doing something with it.
yeah, and from a
That's the
crew
only-
chief's perspective, he's really going to have to pick up on the loud pedal here because I just don't think that Lambert, well, yeah, see, now I'm going the other way on this whole argument. I feel like Lambert might not be getting the information that he needs about the lap times that we are able to have up here in the broadcast booth.
The
And,
gap's 5.5 seconds. He's given up so much time in the last couple laps.
If nothing else, though,
Soon, because he's going to have his momentum up when the 91 gets there. He's just going to blow by him.
well, if nothing else, though, Lambert lost a ton of points when I got into him last week, and you know, so I feel like since he lost 2 positions, that's the main thing that's in the back of his mind as we get close to the playoffs here.
24.8, 22.9. There's really no doubting that Kraus is there. If you take a look on board car number 91, you can see the 46 in your vision, and you are hounding him into the corner. We're coming to 7 laps to go. And now Lambert's going to have to pick it up. I don't think he can he's still clutching. There's no way. This is going to be it. As Kraus is going to get really close to the 46, and the race lead is going to change unless Lambert can pick up the pace. He can't.
I don't think he...
On board the rear of the 91, you see the 46 fade into the distance. I would say you need to change up your strategist. Fire your crew chief. A little not PC, but we've gone over that. We don't really do it here, but look who's coming into the picture due to the 46 having his strategic issues. We're coming to 5 to go, and Chris Wetz is getting ever so close. Down the back straightaway. From high above, into turns 3 and 4. There is no gap between the Area 52 teammates. We're coming to 5 laps to go. Kraus hits the wall. He defends on the 71 of Wetz to the inside, and Wetz to the outside of the 91. A road racing maneuver from the Wisconsin native has him hold the lead in Dover. To the inside goes the 71. Kraus does it again, and he gets really close to his teammate. This is mano-a-mano off of turn 4
man.
here in Dover. Kraus holds the lead. And if there's one thing you don't do, it is race the 91 like that, because he knows how to defend. As Wetz gets really loose on the bottom. We're coming to 3 to
these
go.
guys just 2 teammates out here putting on a show. You know, hopefully this doesn't end badly for the both of them, but this is exciting to watch.
Off of turn 4, 3 miles. That's all that's left, with Philip Kraus and Chris Wetz and Michael Frisch getting very close. Maybe the defending champion can capitalize on something here. Off the corner.
And Josh, we've seen how hard the 71 and I, we compete as teammates in NASA. Now tables are turned. They're not on opposite teams anymore, but he's still going to run him just as hard because he runs me just as hard. That's just Chris Wetz.
2 to go for Philip Kraus, Chris Wetz, teammates in Solstice. You can reckon that next week they'll get a rematch in Valkenswaard. And we know that Chris Wetz is good there, so tune in next week for NASA Rallycross. But right now, we have to finish Solstice Racing. It's a race between the teammates, and we got 1 mile to decide it. On board, Chris Wetz in car number 71. Can he get it done in the last mile of the race? Into turns 1 and 2. Off of turn number 2, half a lap to go. Will Chris Wetz dive to the inside? I don't think he's going to get it done. He's going to have to send it on the outside. He's going to do it, but he won't have enough time. And Philip Kraus, off of the final corner, is going to win in Dover, Delaware, ahead of his teammate Wetz. And Michael Frisch comes home 3rd.
What a finish.
4th,
Once
Bailey.
again, we get
And
treated.
5th is Jeremy Stanley.
And Josh, what a storyline. If this is not Kraus's first race in this series, it's been his first oval race, I believe, in this discipline in over a year. And
A long time for Philip Kraus. You know, you finished on the podium again, and it's not even a NASA race. How are you so good in jumping into a car randomly and winning?
I honestly don't know. I had like 20 minutes of practice coming into this. I haven't driven on NR in a long time, and I came fresh out of a B fixed. I was just tired of letting them go away. Arguably, I should have won last week in NASA, and I guess driving pissed off helps sometimes.
As Mr. Livingood, you got anything for our race winner? I'm too confused as to how he's so good.
well, you know, I just got to ask him what some of the things were that he learned that first run. I mean, we talked about it up in the booth, Phil. You're totally a student of the game. And Josh and I, we both watched you come up from, you know, somebody who was on the fence for making the final or, you know, kind of in the back in the final at NASA. That's the best thing we have to go off of for comparison. And into, you know, a multiple-time champion. I mean, how did you... well, and we even see that on race weekends as well. How were you able to just kind of hop in a car like this and learn some things in the first run and then dominate for the next 2/3 of the race?
It was just really getting used to it. This is a lot different than what I usually drive. So the first run I was really just feeling it out, seeing what I could and couldn't do. And the second and third run, I just did what I knew I could do. A little bit more a few times, probably on the last few laps, because I was under pressure from Let's. He was really quick. He always does that thing where he's a bit slower at the start of the run, and at the end he's charging at you. So I just had to hope at the start of the last run I pulled him enough, and I didn't really. I just got a little bit lucky.
Yeah, we were talking about that too, how teammates come into play and how the tables have turned. One of your biggest rivals in NASA Rallycross suddenly, still not one of your best friends, but probably one of the guys he'd like behind you. And I just gotta ask, we talked about that with Dylan Smith in the first stage break. Did you feel like the Highline was a tool for you at all to be able to win this race, or do you feel like that didn't really affect you and that the bottom was a lot better?
I don't think the top was worth it for me. I was trying to set up Joey for the longest time. I think right before the stage break when Dylan got it to us, and I just couldn't make the top work. I know some people, I know some people could make the top work, but I just wasn't one of those people. So I sort of took the Kevin Harvick line this race, rim ride it all the way.
Yeah, and Body, I know you were excited watching this guy. You got anything for him?
Nah, man, just show up again, please. That was fun, man. Like that, like we said, that first run, we watched you kind of run, right about the middle there, kind of feeling the car out, and we were starting to talk about, oh man, he's starting to get the feel for this. He's gonna really be someone to watch. And then, before we know it, you're half a track ahead.
Yeah, I would run this if I had Thursdays free, but I got other commitments. So this was on a Tuesday. I thought we were gonna run NASA tonight. We ended up canceling it for this doubleheader, and go fast, eat ass. We did it today.
I can't even contain my laughter. All right, my friend. Wow.
Great run,
That,
man. Thanks for showing up.
Proves to me you're an alien. I'm jealous. I'm gonna kick your ass next week.
That's
and,
what they all say.
Good run tonight, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow. It was so exciting that we don't even have a TV feed anymore. So hopefully we can finish up on a high note here, gentlemen.
Hey, man, the technical crew told me they're not playing any games. They got to get to Kansas in 2 days. They're on it. They're packing up. They're already about halfway out the door.
Yeah, our camera feed. I think we have one camera left, and it's placed at the entrance to pit lane. Every other camera is already like, I'm looking around, and they're all packing up, and they've got to go.
Yeah.
Like, they've got to go.
These guys are wasting no time. They got like 45 minutes to an hour to get everything loaded. They got to get out of here. They're not gonna have a chance of making it.
So this, I mean, it would really throw a wrench in the works if when you're in playoff scenario, because this takes a win off of them. I mean, granted it doesn't, but this still kind of does, because I mean, Wett's gained a lot of points, but he didn't gain as much as he wanted to because he didn't win the race.
Yeah, and this was kind of a weird race for points. I mean, I'll give it that.
Yeah, I don't. And, some of those guys we talked about not being here, they don't really lose a lot. In the sense that the playoff points or whatever, or not playoff points, but those extra points. None of the regulars picked up the win. Really affect the championship picture.
As I mean, I would say, as we've got our producer behind us yelling at us to wrap up because we have to get to Kansas. I would say, this race proves that anything can happen in Solstice. I say this in NASA, I say it in Solstice, but please ignore that Philip Kraus is my teammate in NASA, okay? But the facts are that he hasn't driven a stock car in forever. I don't think he's raced in Solstice ever or in a long time. Jumps in the damn car, wins, and then disappears because he can't run on Thursdays.
Yeah, and it's great that we're not running tonight over at NASA, but NASA still seems to make the headlines tonight, and it's just awesome to see him hop in a different discipline and be able to do it.
We've been in the Twilight Zone for a month. This guy just shows up, dominates, and leaves. Hashtag alien.
Kansas Speedway in Kansas. It's going to be a great race. Once again, we're going to get back to our regular time, 9:15 p.m. Eastern time. Like I said, Dover produced a very interesting race. Once I get my schedule graphic loaded, we go to Kansas next week. Then we go to the Roval, so I'm going to forget how to have talent when driving a stock car, which is going to be pretty exciting, as that is the last race before the playoffs. Then we go to Daytona on October 3rd. That's the wild card race to determine the 10 drivers in the playoffs. Iowa, Trois Rivières, and Auto Club is the second round of the playoffs. We're going to wrap up this 22nd season at Pocono, Colorado Motorplex, and, of course, Atlanta. But like I mentioned, this race proves that anything can happen, and Solstice usually does. And Joey Bailey has a win. Lambert does not have a win. And we're going to roll into Kansas next week. I know we've kind of recapped.
What do you mean next week? In 2 days.
You're right. You're right. I've already forgotten.
Stop lying to the people.
You know, I think they snuck some alcohol into this water again, and this water is like almost done. So I'm having some issues here.
They snuck it into the water.
Yeah, Dylan, Mr. Living Good. I don't know if anyone heard that on the mic, but he says sorry, so they blame him.
Hey, whoa.
my
That's not
my
what
final
I'm hearing
thoughts.
on my end.
I've said it. My final thoughts. Anything can happen in Solstice. Kansas is going to be crazy. We're going to finish up this season, and season 23 is going to be great. It improves every day. Body, what's up with you?
Same thing. You know, look forward to seeing you in 2 days, buddy. Won't be such a long time in between getting to come here and do what we do. You know, I think if this race is any kind of a showcase, I think Kansas is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have hopefully a bigger field and probably some good racing.
As last thing, before I pull you in, Mr. Living Good, to get your final thoughts, I need to interject. Area 52 finished 1-2 today. We kind of forgot about that one because of Kraus being a teammate. So that's going to be interesting. Good eye, Mr. Victor Valley, watching us on HVMP. Thank you for that little tidbit. Mr. Living Good, any final thoughts?
You know, it's awesome to see a team like that progress from kind of where Cody started off with. It was kind of just a, single car operation, and now it's grown into, something that he can really sit back and be proud of. And I know myself as a team owner, that's always a good feeling when your cars finish 1-2, even if it's not you. But, there must be something in the water here because we've had some crazy racing this last month, and it's only going to continue as we get just closer and closer to the playoffs here. And, it's the last race in this kind of generation of car, and we're going to be switching things over for next season, which is really exciting. But I think these guys really want to claim their mark on this generation of Solstice racing, and they're not going to give it up till the very end. So keep on watching in. It's going to be great till the end of the season, and glad to be with you guys and ride with you guys for the whole rest of the season.
As we're not going to be separated for long here, gentlemen. In 2 days, we go to the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, as we get to the penultimate round before the playoffs. But from all of us here on High Voltage Media Productions, what a race here in Dover. Philip Kraus blitzes the field, disappears off into the sunset. The Twilight Zone continues for the last 5 weeks. And we'll see you in Kansas in 1 week's time. But from Dylan Body, Dylan Living Good, I am Josh Mertz. We'll see you in a couple days in Kansas. But until then, so long, everyone.